Hey, welcome back to part two with Jamie Robinson with Audax Financial Services, sorry, Investment Services. And Jamie, we had a great discussion on the first episode because as you know, as we talked about, as me being a former business owner, insurance was one of those things that I always, and we just talked about this earlier. Um, I always was wondering, do I really need this? Or are they just pitching that because they're trying to get an extra sale, extra commission, whatever the case may be. And I quickly learned that not all insurance agents, I know this is going to be shocking to you, are honest and ethical when it comes to presenting what they need. I do want to believe that there are more people like you that are willing to say, hey, and you were just sharing an instance about how you saved somebody some money because some bells and whistles on the policy they didn't need. That's what I think business owners are willing to go out of their way and say, you know what, I want to support this person because I know I can trust them. I know that they're not just out for themselves in the industry that I'm in. That's huge. You have to put the interest of your client before any interest that you have, and you share that. So let's dive right in. Okay, so I've got an insurance agent and I'm starting to think, I'm not sure this is the right agent. What are some red flags that a business owner needs to look for when looking at or changing insurance agents?
Sure. So when it's a new relationship, your agent should be asking tons of questions about the business. And if you aren't sure why they're asking certain questions, they should be able to tell you exactly why they're asking.
Okay.
And I have had that happen a couple times where it may be a new business owner, really, that isn't sure why they have to share certain things about financials and revenue and payroll and those kinds of things. So, an agent should be asking those kinds of questions, but they should also be taking a deep dive on the services, products, business model, W-2 versus 1099 staff, all the questions, right? So if they're not asking those questions, that would be a red flag. And if they're not asking those questions year over year for your renewal, that would be a red flag. There are certain checks and balances that occur within insurance with workers' comp, for example, that sort of holds a company accountable to their growth.
Mhm.
But as we talked about in the first episode, if your revenue has drastically changed in a year, you may need an excess policy or you may need to change some of the coverages. And there's certainly updates that need to be made for drastic growth, or a drastic reduction in revenue because you can save money on your policy that way. Also, if you change the types of services you offer or if you add services, all of those things need to be disclosed, and your insurance agent should be asking those questions to make sure that they are covering any possible exposures with the appropriate types of insurance. So
So
that's the biggest thing I see is the initial questions when it's a new relationship, and then the questions that are very similar that should happen at the renewal every year.
okay. So so give me like the top one or two, if I'm the business owner coming to you, what are some questions that I should be asking you to make sure that the policies you're recommending, that they're going to be sufficient for what I'm doing?
So I would say the biggest questions that a business owner should be asking the agent is, I get this a lot. So especially with companies that are evolving, a client comes to me and says, hey, we primarily do this particular service or we offer this product. We're thinking about adding this. Would that be covered? So in that instance, the insurance agent also needs to understand the revenue split between the services or the projected revenue split between the services. Because what it comes down to, if a claim needs to be paid, is it's the insurance agent's job to make sure that your business is classified appropriately for insurance. Because
Yeah,
if it's not, and the agent hasn't asked the right questions, then a claim may not be paid at the time that it
exactly.
needs to be paid.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, as an insurance agent, we can only write the policy based on the information we're given. So it's really up to the business owner to be, to fully disclose what they're doing. Also keeping in mind, sometimes you just have to pivot to another market if the business model changes drastically. So it doesn't mean that you can't be insured. It just means a change might need to be made. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it does. And so again, in the interest of you can't share everything that you know in this short period of time, but also understanding that we're trying to dig into this a little bit. So is there a question that I can ask you as the insurance agent that kind of gets to the bottom of, well, like I referenced before, you had that policy that they had some bells and whistles that come to find out, oh, well, we never talked about that. Is there something that I can ask as a business owner or a key decision maker in a business that will kind of help get to the bottom of, okay, what's the extra? What's the extra fluff, or is there extra fluff? What can I ask you as an agent that will help me get to that answer?
I mean, I think simply put, the best thing, there's no one question. I would say the best thing a business owner can do when they're entering a potential new agent relationship is give them the current policy. So a lot of
Okay.
times, I mean, number one, that saves everyone time. And number two, that allows the agent to also create a comparison. So if the new agent is going to different markets, then they can say, this is what you currently have, and this is what I'm presenting to you based on the conversations we've had about your business. So, yeah, there's no one question. It's more it's more making sure the agent understands what you do, what you offer, who you employ, what your revenue is, what your growth plan is, and then saying, here's my current policy, does this sound right? And then the new agent can look at that and say, well, based on what you said about this, I don't know why you would have this in your policy or this. The other big thing too to understand is that there are certain provisions within a policy that are included. They're not a la carte. So I guess one question a business owner could ask, especially if they're trying to save money or be more economical, is, are there any a la carte provisions in this policy that I don't need? Or are
Oh,
there
yeah,
any that you don't see that I do need?
yeah.
So I know that's sort of a roundabout answer.
No,
I
that's
think
that's
that's
perfect.
okay, perfect.
Yeah. No, that I mean, honestly, because I don't know what I don't know, and that's
Right.
why these calls are, in my opinion, so valuable because you're not trying to sell me on a service. You're trying to say, here's how you get to the policy that you need because insurance is invaluable. It just
Right.
sometimes it gets a little bit of a bad rap because of the people that are trying to present it. So, excellent interview, Jamie. Thank you so much. Obviously, all of your information, as far as contact information, your website, that's all going to be in the show notes, and we want people to know that. But in the last 10 or 15 seconds, tell me, who do you think would get the most value by reaching out to you?
I mean, really, any type of business. There are no specific industries that I go after. I'm a generalist.
Okay.
And again, I'm going to take the same deep dive in any business, regardless of the industry, and then we navigate how to customize the policies from there. So, really, any business owner and small to mid-size in insurance terms can mean a lot of different things. So, I can go into more detail with the given contact that I'm speaking with.
Awesome. Well, Jamie, thank you so much. I know you've been very gracious with your time here today, and I do find that this is such a big issue for business owners. Very, very valuable information you just shared. So, really appreciate your time, and thank you so much.
Thank you. And one thing I would add too is I am licensed in multiple states, so I don't just
Okay,
work with clients in Tennessee.
good to know. Good to know.
Thank
Well,
you for
great,
having
Jamie.
me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.